Good afternoon, everybody. David Shuster here on Take Action News. Welcome to the third hour of our program, joined, of course, in our Washington studio by executive producer Daniel Marins and our board operator Pete Callahan. And, folks, we have not talked yet this week about Benghazi, but I want to do it just to make a point, and that is when you think that some of these scandals are, well, maybe there's something really there, and you're trying to decide, is there something really there, or is this about politics? Well, consider the case of former Vice President Dick Cheney. Yes, Dick Cheney went on Fox News this week, Sean Hannity's show, and he said that the talking points and the things at the White House and the Obama administration, the things that they have said about the Benghazi incident, which 4 Americans killed, he said that this is one of the worst incidents, frankly, that I can recall in my career. Dick Cheney, one of the worst incidents that I can frankly recall in my career. Now, first of all, a couple things. I think this is more proof that Dick Cheney has Alzheimer's or some clear psychosis, because obviously he can't remember 9/11. That was pretty bad. But secondly, the information that came out this week, and again, Republicans have been convinced, and they've been saying over and over again, that the White House massaged these talking points, that the White House led this conspiracy to try to hide what really happened at Benghazi and to make it clear, and just because the White House was afraid of what would come out. And the accusation from Republicans, the accusation is that the White House lied. President Obama, that his top officials, they all lied about Benghazi. None of which, of course, has been proven. In fact, the information that came out this week shows just the opposite, that the White House did not interfere with the State Department and the CIA, which are trying to come up with a set of talking points about how to explain what happened in Benghazi and why. But nonetheless, since there's Dick Cheney going after this White House, saying that this is one of the worst incidents that he can recall in his career, worst incidents of lying, let me read back to you a couple things that Dick Cheney said when he was vice president. August 2002, leading up to the Iraq War, Dick Cheney said, quote, "Simply stated, there is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction. There is no doubt he is amassing them to use against our friends, against our allies." Actually, there were a lot of doubts. In fact, the Central Intelligence Agency, the State Department, the National Security Establishment, they all had doubts. But Dick Cheney lied, flat out lied when he said there were no doubts. This is part of Dick Cheney banging the drums for the Iraq War. Dick Cheney also said, September 8, 2002, "We do know with absolute certainty that Saddam Hussein is using his procurement system to acquire the equipment he needs in order to enrich uranium to build a nuclear weapon. We do know with absolute certainty." Well, that is one of the biggest lies I think any of us could possibly have known about in recent memory. Dick Cheney saying that with absolute certainty Saddam Hussein was trying to procure uranium. Oh, and then he also said, leading up to the Iraq War, Mohammed Atta, who was the lead hijacker in 9/11, did apparently travel to Prague on a number of occasions, and on at least one occasion we have reporting that places him in Prague to make the connection with Saddam Hussein. Yet another lie.